So now we are going into red. And we're going to start with some Fortnite.
Yeah, there we go.
Now, funny enough, I've never played Fortnite.
I played it. Yeah.
You have.
Yep. So if you're, I mean, it's really interesting because like you can, a lot of times you're playing solo, in which case very much red, just like every person literally for themselves, either, combination of surviving or killing.
Mhm.
So it's interesting that you can have some of the survival instinct. Actually, I would say that brings it up pretty strongly here. I tend to go the survival route and just like see if I can hunker down and not get anybody to notice me for a while. And but you can also do pairs of like 2-on-2 and then 4-on-4 too, so it can
Yep.
expand a little bit. But it's pretty much like shoot them up, kill the other
Yeah.
people.
And I was focusing in particular on the battle royale
Battle
aspect.
Royale is what's really
whole-
unique about this game,
Yeah.
is that format is Battle Royale, where it's just like everybody for themselves with an element of either surviving to the end or killing everybody in order to survive, the
That's right.
combination. Yep.
And battle royale is the perfect analog for red game.
Yeah. That
Perfect
one's
analog.
every person for themselves. And
That's right.
yeah, and you can see in the screen here, like modern kind of orange presentation, orange content, houses and stores and things like
Yep.
that. Yep.
Yep. This game has orange content, red theme.
Yep.
Again, the theme here is survive.
Yep.
Kill everyone else and survive. That's the whole goal here.
Yep.
And red gameplay. So orange theme.
Yep.
Red theme, or I'm sorry.
Yeah,
orange
this is
red theme, red gameplay.
Yep. And then the whole ecosystem around it in terms of the stores and buying all your outfits and things like that. So there's a heavy orange market component to it that's like unique. You don't have to pay for Fortnite, but you pay for all your special outfits.
Yep.
I'm personally John Wick in the game.
So as I mentioned, first-person shooters are often associated with red, even if the content of the shooter can be pulled from any altitude whatsoever. The next game I'm going to show is one of my personal all-time favorite first-person shooters. This was the reboot of another classic game that I remember playing on my Commodore 64, which at the time was called Castle Wolfenstein, and got rebooted in 2014, I think, as Wolfenstein: The New Order. And this game is fucking...
Which one are you showing? You showing the old school?
No, I'm showing new school, man.
Oh yeah.
Because this is one of the best first-person shooter campaigns.
Was Wolfenstein was that the first like RPG like in color on computers? I was trying to remember because I remember playing this in high school in the 90s. What was the game? Was it Wolfenstein or another one? I think it was Wolfenstein.
Sure. There was a Castle Wolfenstein. Which
no, I think it's
down.
Yeah, I remember playing it in high school on the high school computers like in 92, 93.
There was a 3D Wolfenstein that was a really big deal that came out along the same time as like Doom and Quake and all those.
Yeah, that was it. That's what I played.
That's probably the one you remember. So this is the reboot of that franchise, and it's glorious. It is brutal, absolutely brutal. So this game takes place in sort of a Philip K. Dick world, where an alternate reality where the Nazis won World War II and have colonized the world. And so in this game, you're playing as the Resistance. And it's a chilling game. It's a game that's after the events of the last couple months is probably, I don't know, maybe has a little bit of newfound relevance. And it's a really good game. It's brutal, like I said. Your goal is to kill Nazis. That's the whole concept of the game. Is Nazis are bad, Nazis are evil, kill them dead real good. So it means that the content of the game is red to amber. The theme of the game is amber to orange. Not only is there a clear good and a clear evil, but there's also orange. It's taking place in this orange science fiction alternate reality type of world. And again, red gameplay doesn't get more red. Well, maybe it does in one of our future selections, but this is a perfect example of red gameplay. Your job is to kill every single motherfucker on the screen.
That is the gameplay.
Which is another funny thing to me about red first-person shooters, Ryan, is that they're the most popular genre out there.
Yeah.
And every single one has the same gameplay. The entire goal is to line up various objects on your screen into the center of your screen and then pull the trigger when they're lined up. That's it. That's the game.
Yep.
And it's endlessly satisfying.
Yeah.
To watch people's heads explode.
That's right. That's what the games are.
So yeah, Wolfenstein, New Order. Then they followed up with New Colossus, and it is just the storytelling is amazing. The world building is amazing, and
Mm,
it is just a way to exercise pure, gleeful dread. Which also
nice.
brings us to the next game. Talk about gleeful dread. So the next game is Grand Theft Auto 5.
I still haven't got to play it yet.
Really?
I know. I need to just play it. I know. I just
You
play it.
really need to just play it. This game is I mean, it's a sandbox. It's
Yeah, sandbox game.
it's incredible. And it was interesting placing this game, Ryan, because you know, Grand Theft Auto has orange content. It
Sure.
has an orange theme. The story is being told from an orange perspective. However, and you can play this game you can play this game as a pacifist. If you can play this game and never run a single red light if you want to, right?
Sure.
But when people think of Grand Theft Auto games, they only think of one thing, and that's just total mayhem.
Yeah.
And that's
Totally.
what Grand Theft Auto is. You can
Yeah. I mean, it lends itself. It's like being in a candy shop and saying you don't have to eat any candy. Well, you're probably going to if you're hanging out there all the time.
That's right.
Yeah, it's just pure mayhem on a definitely egocentric level. Yeah, I mean, just
Yep.
feel like, can you get away from the cops? How many, like, I don't know. I've heard things about the game, like how many people can you beat up? There's all kinds of stuff where it's just like, wow, this is really letting a person rip in red territory.
Yep. And I will say this. Ken and I actually had a great conversation about this a year or two ago. We both agree video games absolutely do not contribute to violence. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. The reason why we have such demand for violent video games is because we have sort of some violent shadows in our culture. And if we
Right.
were to address those shadows, chances are the demand for violent video games would come
It'd
down.
be it's more of a reflection versus causative.
However, I told Ken, I have a memory. One time when this was like maybe 2000, I don't know, 3, a long time ago. So it was a very old iteration of Grand Theft Auto. I remember playing the game for something like 8 hours straight with my cousin and I had to work a night shift that night. And I played and played and played for just 8 hours straight. And then when I went to walk to work,
Yeah.
I was walking across the street and there was a cop car that had pulled over another car.
Uh-huh.
And I swear to God, I had to actually fight off the impulse
Uh-huh.
to jump in the cop car and drive away. Like
Yeah.
this was a real temptation that
Well,
emerged like it was nothing, because that's what I've been doing for the last 8 hours.
yeah, and so totally, and like just kind of like with anything else, context matters. And like, so if a person has some issues they're dealing with in their life in terms of mental health, certain video games can exacerbate their issues, or that activity can exacerbate their problems. So that's really true of anything. But it's just sort of like, if you play the game, does it going to be like necessarily, impact you such that you're going to go out and behave totally differently than normal? No, but if you play enough of a game, yeah, I mean, like, I
It
know,
creates state experiences. It creates state experience, and those state experiences fade, but it can take a minute for
yeah,
them.
for sure. And Grand Theft Auto is one of those games where I'm like, okay, if I were gonna like have any caution with any, it would be like, oh, I'm gonna make that game would be like one where I'm like, how am I gonna play this game? Well,
There are far worse, I promise you.
oh, I know.
Far more
That's
sociopathic, I should say.
as for the most famous games, let's put it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So let's get back to it. So we've got here's another example of, I think, games that you wouldn't necessarily think of them as red games, but they're definitely set in a red world. And for that, I'm thinking of some particular Assassin's Creed games.
Mm.
So I chose 2 in particular to highlight here. The first one is Assassin's Creed Origins, where you are in ancient Egyptian society. You get to climb a pyramid. You get to go into the pyramid. You get to go into the Sphinx. This is like childhood dreams come true right here for me. I've always wanted to see the pyramid, and I never have. So this kind of gives me some substitute gratification in a certain kind of way. So these 2 games in particular, are taking place in a red world. Again, this is ancient Egypt. And the next one I'm going to show is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is, Vikings. You get to be a Viking. Which is, sort of red to amber. But, the theme of the game, these are science fiction games. There's a whole science fiction meta story being told across all of these historical bits. That's very orange. It's got an orange view of history, etc. So it's got a strong orange theme and more red gameplay. Because again, you're playing as a single player, you're trying to be a hero, sort of the
Yep.
definition of
Yep.
red. So this one was Assassin's Creed Origins, and I'll show a little bit from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is a gorgeous game. I have this on the PS5, and it's beautiful. And you get to be a Viking, which is another childhood dream.
Is this made by at all by the same company as Zero Horizon Dawn?
No, but there's a lot of it looks
Gosh,
really similar, doesn't
there are
it?
a lot of things where it feels, I mean, just really similar.
Yep. Yep. And this is just it's a really beautiful game. This is Valhalla is in a lot of ways a capstone on Assassin's Creed, because the Assassin's Creed series got very gluttonous. Like one of my favorites is Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which takes place in ancient Greece, and it's just huge. I mean, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of hours of like side missions to do. So when I play the game, I just get kind of overwhelmed and I stopped playing for a while. This game is nice and tight. Everything's more focused. You get it's got a better experience, I think. So it's Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So now we're gonna go into the time capsule, Ryan, and we're gonna go for probably the most red game ever made. Red
Yeah.
content,
Yeah.
red
Totally.
theme, red gameplay,
Yeah.
red
Yeah.
in all three
Yeah.
lines.
Yep.
And not only that, but this is the game that put first-person shooters on the map to begin with. No surprise, we're going to Doom.
Yep.
What a revolution this game was. Freshman year of college is when I played Doom.
Nice.
I played it on my girlfriend's old Macintosh, and just spent hours and hours and hours playing this game, memorizing the levels. And it was so scary, and these graphics seemed so real at the time. I mean, this was as immersive as video games got, and
Yeah.
so incredibly innovative. This was the first 3D, first-person shooter we ever had.
Yep.
And it's glorious. If you ever want a fun 10 minutes, watch a speed run of Doom. They beat this game in like 10 minutes. It's absolutely
That's awesome. Yeah,
In
classic
fact,
right here.
the whole speed running thing. Maybe that's something we could mention at Orange, because that is
Totally.
high score competitions is a great expression of Orange. Speed
Yep.
runs are an expression of Orange, because you're trying to be the best among a number of people. We'll maybe get to that later. So this is Doom. I just want us to kind of savor it, because what an important and landmark this was.